Hello, students. So we are ready to begin thinking about and preparing for assignment number 3, which is an infographic. I've got several materials up on Moodle to help you understand what that assignment is and what my expectations are and what you'll need to do. So there is this assignment sheet. It's a PDF posted to Moodle. Here under step 2, and you don't necessarily have to do the steps in order, right, especially the first two, but I've got a link to a particular website, and the assigned reading on our revised syllabus mentions that there will just be PDFs. I'd actually like for you to just look at 3 or 4 of the charts listed in this write-up, just so you see examples of infographics. So there's this assignment sheet. There are some examples at this website. I also created an example infographic, and that's been posted to Moodle as well. So I hope you'll look carefully at the assignment sheet, at this example, and at some of the examples on 538.com. But I also wanted to use this screencast to emphasize a few things about this assignment. So look at those materials first, and then finish this screencast. Just pause it for now and come back to it later, because what I want to emphasize here are the things that I would really hit hard if we were in the classroom. This is what I would say are things I want to be extra careful to be clear about. So these are key points about the infographic assignment, and I hope that this will anticipate some questions you might have after looking at the assignment sheet and the examples. So the first key point I want to share with you has to deal with the density and complexity of the infographic itself. The reason people use charts and tables is because there's a complicated subject. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, but that chart or that image provides one place where all those pieces can be represented. Now, what I'm looking for is something that people will have to spend a little bit of time to figure out. The visual element of this assignment should not be something that people can look at and then immediately understand what's going on. You need to find some sort of data set, some sort of research finding that is complicated enough that it's difficult to represent. And then your job in this assignment is to figure out how to represent it well. And so I definitely want you to understand that the visual element you create will take your audience some time to figure out. So that's fine, right? This is not the same as a tweet or any of this kind of instant gratification that we've become so accustomed to. You can expect your audience, you can expect me when I grade it, to study the image you create for a little bit to be sure that the points are coming through. Second point of emphasis is that the overall document should be built in layers. So folks often look at images first. They just draw the eye for whatever reason. So that's the first layer of your document. Some people will look at only that chart or that diagram or that table, whatever the visual element is. So that means that that element should interpret itself. There should be enough labeling and enough explanation that's part of the image itself that people could look at that and only that and spend enough time with it that they could eventually figure out what it is. Now, the overall document contains an additional layer. There is also going to be, you are also going to create some text that provides an introduction, that provides some context, and some additional explanation. And so I really tried to model that in the example that I created. Like the first thing that I think a lot of people will look at is the color, right? They'll be pulled to this bar chart and they might look at it first. And for some people, that's all they might look at. But there's also a fair amount of text on this document that allows people to understand the topic more fully and get more out of the overall document. So as you are working on your infographic, be thinking about those layers. Be aware that some people are only going to look at the image. but that you still need to create a document that has text that supplements that image. Okay, last take-home point, last thing I wanted to really emphasize is that for you all, the level of sophistication, the level of complexity that I'm looking for should fall somewhere between the example that I've created and some of the really complex things you might see on 538. Yours needs to fall somewhere in between there in terms of sophistication. You can think of mine as like the floor, the hurdle that you have to at least get up to. But then there's not really any extra points for you doing something 3 times as complex. Just be sure that there's enough going on there that it will create the need for an image and some supplementary text. Okay, but I think you'll see if you scroll through those examples on 538 that some of them are taking an incredible amount of data and representing it in a fairly complicated, complex way. And eventually, you know, you manage to crack the riddle, you manage to figure out what's going on, and it's pretty amazing what they've managed to do with some of those charts. But that's definitely not what I expect from you all who may be hearing the word infographic for the first time. So do not feel like you are aiming for something that could show up on 538.com. Just wanted to be very clear about that. All right, we'll do another Q&A session sometime during the week at the end of March, but I'll have that information in the overview email that I send out on Sunday. Until then, I hope you all do well. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.